Welcome back to Social Pulse Podcast, Hospitality Edition, where we're digging into the challenges, successes, and the stories of social media and community professionals in the industry, just like you. Subscribe to gain valuable insights that you'll be able to apply to your own work and social presence from each and every episode. Now, have you ever found yourself frustrated by social media algorithms that seem to work against you, or struggled to capture your audience's attention amidst a sea of similar content? What if we told you there's a way to break free from these challenges, to innovate and inspire your social media strategy through unconventional thinking? That's what our guest today, Stefan Peterson, is here to help with. Stefan is no ordinary marketer. As the co-founder of Gemeng, a hub for rebellious yet purposeful innovations in sustainable tourism, Stefan challenges the status quo with what he calls corkscrew thinking. His creative, strategic, and often audacious approach to problem solving has not only empowered destinations and businesses to thrive, but also transformed conventional social media practices. Today, Stefan will share how you can apply these radical principles to your own social media marketing efforts in the hospitality industry. Hey, Stefan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. So fantastic. I'm so honored to be invited. And I have to say that I actually answer yes on all the questions in the beginning as well. So this meeting, this talk is going to be real fun. Unconventional thinking. I think that is the future, isn't it? In one way or another, because everybody's going to know how to do it. You just have an AI for it and everybody can do it. So if you are one of the creative guys who actually got paid for doing creative stuff, there are going to be competition, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a great segue, because I'd love for you to talk about what that actually is. Explain the concept of corkscrew thinking and how that applies to social media marketing.
Yeah, first of all, we need to look back in history a little. And corkscrew thinking, it was actually, we can say it was invented by Winston Churchill during the World War II.
Wow.
Churchill needed actually a plan to beat the Germans. And but the thing was that it was like a straight line. You have an idea and the opposite side, they knew exactly what you should do, so it's going to be like only conflict, okay, because it was war. So what he did was actually to collect a lot of bright-minded people from different kinds of industry, and they start to think, how can we do what everybody know that we are going to do, but they are not going to get it. So that was it's called, there is a movie you can watch called Operation Mincemeat. It's about it.
Yes.
But what they did, they were creating this dead soldier career with a letter that said that they were going to go somewhere else to fight. But they invented also, he had a letter from a bank saying that his account was freeze because he didn't have money. It was a letter to his lovely girlfriend in the UK and they let his body flew up on the shores of France, and they said, you're not supposed to read this because he's a courier. And of course they read it, and then they saw, oh, this is true. So they actually tried to create, the Germans tried to fight them, but instead they actually went as they were supposed to through Sicily and won that game. Okay, corkscrew thinking, what is it about this? Corkscrew thinking is about thinking about the disruptors of something. What is the next step we need to take to develop something? What is the disruptor? What is the challenge we have? What is the first thing we need to break as a problem? What do we need to do to make the next step? So instead of thinking one line, you're thinking like the corkscrew. You're thinking around it, you try different angles, and you try to collect as many different opinions as possible. For example, when we work for a destination or a city, we try to actually invite politicians. We know what they are going to say. We invite the governance for the city. We invite people from the private enterprises. We invite organizations, but we also invite the people who live there and those different organizations or communities. So we get different angles on one kind of problem. And in that way, we try to actually go non-linear, like a corkscrew, to find the right solution for this place to develop in a more long-term and sustainable way. So that it is. Pretty much.
I knew I liked you the moment you started talking about a historical reference. I do that all the time. And Operation Mincemeat, I think, is a great example, right? Where they're using misdirection, but they're thinking long term about what will the enemy do if we do this? What would they do if we did that instead? How do we get them to do what we would like them to do and position ourselves in a place of strength, right? They wanted to attack Sicily and not have very many Germans there when they attacked. So they made the Germans think they were attacking someplace else and moved their forces. And that's a great way to think around the problems instead of attacking social media by just posting more and posting more and hoping that you get the end results you want to get. Let's think around the issue. How can we approach social media? How can we approach marketing in general, right? And get the results that we actually want by being creative in our thinking. So when we're talking about social media specifically, what are some traditional social media practices that you think are outdated, particularly in the context of hospitality marketing?
Yeah, first of all the traditional methods like posting static content without any interactivity or without any individual personal connection with the audience. I think it's like medieval stuff. Because nowadays, when all the kind of social media and we can be connected with directly peer-to-peer, one-to-one person with people through social medias. Why should you go traditional and just have a small payoff or something like that? Communication is a two-way street nowadays. It's not one way. It's not like the megaphone you have when you shout your message. So yeah, and because of that, I think what everybody needs to do is to understand, of course, their audience, who they want to talk to, but they need also to create a communication, a platform where they can co-create, where they can cooperate to actually give people what the value they are looking for. And and that's where we are. And I mean, nowadays, when all the new tech with AI and chat GPT and everything, everybody can actually create something. We can say it's good or bad, but everybody can create something that is also quite cheap. I mean, it's easy to make it yourself. So nowadays, for all the small and mid-sized companies, you have the strength to actually do something about this that you couldn't do before. So I think that is the absolute future.
That makes a lot of sense. I was talking with Andy Crestodina on my AI podcast, and he was dubbing AI average intelligence, because when businesses and marketers go to AI, if they don't spend a lot of time working with it, they're just going to get the average of responses, mediocre responses, and it just creates this sea of content like we talked about at the outset, right? Where individual businesses need to stand out. They need to develop community. They need to have dynamic content. So could you share an example of a rebellious social media campaign that broke away from some of these social norms and succeeded?
Yeah, I have the best. Oh, I don't know if I have the best, but it's a really great campaign. It was a couple of years ago, but it was quite interesting. It was actually Sweden, the country Sweden, where I am from. And the marketing agency called Visit Sweden, they created a campaign called the Swedish Number. And that was, we have to go back to 2016 for this, but it's still quite a great example of this. What they did was that they told Swedish people everybody who was living in Sweden, you can be part of this campaign. You just add your profile, and there is a Swedish number that they launched all over the world. Anyone could call it, and they came through to a random Swede that could answer questions about Sweden. And there's a great video. I don't know if you can share a link later. I can send you a link for it. But I mean, the Swedish Prime Minister at that time actually created a profile. So there was one person who called this Swedish number and came to the Prime Minister. And it was so funny because first he thought, oh, this is a joke of some kind, yeah, but it wasn't. And as a result, of course, it was a marketing for Sweden. It was also about the freedom of speech and how you can come to Sweden. It's a quite safe country. You can travel around, and it also, this campaign actually increased the engagement also for the people who lived in Sweden, but also for people from different markets who wanted to go to Sweden. An authentic relation, a very personal and individual relation to someone in Sweden who actually lived there. I think that is a great example.
Yeah, that's amazing, because you're not only having marketing materials, and you're not only having basically customer support, right, where you've got people who can call in and get answers to their questions, but
Yeah.
it was activating real live people in Sweden who were basically elevating their national pride.
Yeah.
So I could see every country in the world using a similar
Yeah.
campaign like that, and
It was
getting their own real people to talk about their experience living there.
It was 180,000 calls to this,
Wow,
so it was fun. It's cool, though.
that's
So you just
crazy.
pick it up
Do
when there
you?
was someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any insight as to how they actually came up with the idea for that campaign?
Yeah, it started. They had a campaign, I think, like 1 year before, where they let the Twitter account for Sweden. They let someone like, now it's your turn, and now is there someone else. So they started to try it in a small level of it, and then they actually leveled up to this. So yeah. It was, but what kind of technique they used, I don't know. But I mean, it was so funny. Yeah, it was quite
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So
Yeah.
for the
And
social media
yeah,
managers listening, what Stefan's talking about is letting your users hijack your social media account for an hour or a day, and have a live AMA about what it's like to be a resident, or an attendee, or a customer of your hospitality business, whatever that
Mhm.
might look like. So that's really awesome. How do you
Yeah.
think, Stefan, that social media managers in this industry can identify opportunities that could disrupt or innovate some of their current strategies?
Um, of course, they can. They need to analyze and try to see. Not only their own customers. I think we have to be quite behavioristic. You need to analyze different trends. You need to look at competitors, but you also need to cross examine like other industries. If you, for example, want to reach one target audience, that audience are probably also interested in other stuff than what you're doing. So there you can also see the key for how to reach them and how to talk with them. It's more. Wasn't that? I think it was like a tribal marketing or something like that, where you try to behave as your audience, try to get the same language as them, try to see what they're doing, and this is, yeah, this is probably what you need to do as well. I mean, also create more shorter messages, shorter small video clips or user generated content. Because if you look at how people consume media today, there are like, I don't know, you probably know better, but it's less than like 3 seconds until you are bored and want to do something else. So you need, yeah. And what do you say, Mike? Isn't it true? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I love what you're talking about. I'm going to share a tool recommendation to all of you, and I'll put the link in the show notes to use Spark Toro. With Spark Toro, this is Rand Fishkin's baby. He created Moz, and then he went on to found Spark Toro. You can enter in a couple things that you know about your audience. You know, they're in Seattle and they like hiking, whatever the case might be, and it will help you identify what are the other interests that that audience has a nice little Venn diagram cross section of.
Mhm.
And to your point, Stefan, what are the media that they're consuming? Are there particular social channels? Are there newsletters, podcasts they're listening to, YouTube videos and channels that they're watching? You can learn so much about the things that you could be talking to your audience
Mm,
about
mm,
and which
mm,
channels to be talking to those
Great.
audiences for. So that would be a great tool for you guys to kind of disrupt
Yeah.
your own unconventional thinking. But if someone's going to start doing some of this kind of stuff, Stefan,
Mm.
and thinking unconventionally about how they approach
Yeah.
social media, what kinds of challenges do you think that they're going to run into, and how do they overcome them?
Yeah, I truly believe that you should ask this because, as we talked about first with the example about the Swedish number, of course there were a lot of people. Oh, how can we do that? How can we let the audience? How can we let anybody else take control over our brand and everything? But I mean, so the challenges they are, of course, including probably some governance issues if it's a destination or the manager at your job or like that. And of course there are risks, of course, when you try to be experimental, when you try to think in a more non-linear way to do it. But if you actually gathered all the people around you when you start with this creative thinking, then you can also create courage for them all. So they are part of this train towards success. Okay, and that. Of course, all this analysis and audits and everything, and small, like more agile sprints that you can actually test these things first. It's going to help because it's going to create courage for the whole group, for the whole company. And then you start, but start small, do some things, but first of all learn to know your audience. That is absolutely the key to this.
I think that's great advice, because I think those of you listening, probably the most likely challenge you're going to face is getting buy-in from your direct supervisor or manager to do
Yeah,
something that's probably going to sound crazy. And they're going to say something like, well, we've never done anything like that before. And so Stefan's advice is perfect. Start small, start with a pilot program, see if you can MVP that idea, that plan. And then once you see some success, then you can roll out the large idea. Folks, we're talking with Stefan Peterson about some of the challenges facing social media managers in hospitality and ways they can overcome them. We're going to talk about AI in a moment. But before we do, let me share with you how Agorapulse is integrating AI to help you every single day.
Hey there, Daryl Prale, Chief Marketing Officer here at Agorapulse, the industry's best social media management platform. I gotta tell you, I love AI. Why? I don't view it as a threat. Rather, it makes me better. It's a colleague. It's a collaborator. Let's say I do a social media post, but you know what? I'm a little long-winded. I want it shorter. Maybe I want it longer. Maybe I want it punchier, more assertive, more inspirational, more funny. That's what our writing assistant does. Check it out, agorapulse.com.
So, Stefan, one of the things that I love about that example you shared of Travel Sweden was that it obviously is going to build a community. It's going to build a community of actual Swedish people, but also the people who are thinking about coming to Sweden. So if we go at a higher level, how do you suggest building a genuine, impactful engagement strategy that empowers followers and builds community like that one did?
Yeah, I think when we come to AI and all these different tools, you need, of course, first of all, you need a plan, a strategy for your communication. It's not like a strategy for AI. It's not like like you should have a strategy for Facebook or something. It's more a strategy for your communication. What do you want your audience to feel? What do you want them to be part of? How do you want to actually immerse their feelings, their need, and their hunt for value? How can you merge that into your company? So you need to understand them. And then there are, of course, a lot of tools, and they get cheaper and cheaper. I mean, everybody is probably using ChatGPT, even if they are not talking about it, and different AI tools to monitor, to try to sharp all the campaigns and everything, so you can use it. But you also need to understand that all your customers, all your clients is also going to use it. So you need to step up and try to help people. If they are using different tools, you need to help them to see and understand the value you can add to them. I think that would be the answer.
Yeah, and I think you're right. AI is not a strategy. It's no more than we would have a strategy for using electricity in our businesses.
Right.
It's
Or a
it's it's a
pen.
technology, right, that you need to think about how you're gonna use it. So what role do you think AI plays specifically when it comes to creating social media tactics?
Unfortunately, I can say that if you look at LinkedIn right now, if you look at all posts, you are so tired of all these smileys everywhere in the old post, and you can actually, when you start to look at it, you can understand that most of the corporate or even individual posts are created by ChatGPT. And there is a lot of text in all posts. So if you want to be successful here, I think create a post for yourself, run it through an AI to get the hang of the grammatics and a little fluffy stuff maybe, but don't let AI create your post from the beginning until the end. I mean, try to be part of it, try to do your thing as well. But to use AI, I mean, things that we could take weeks to do 2 years ago takes like 20 seconds to do now. So of course, it's a very helpful tool, and I believe all the people that maybe listen to this and work in the creative industry, they have a lot of help from this, of course, but keep yourself in it. That is very, very important.
And you're right, of course, about LinkedIn. For a while, they've had these collaborative articles that anybody could look at the article, the topic, some of the questions, and then contribute their thoughts in 750 characters or less. And if you did that
Yeah.
enough with the same topic, then you'd get a nice little gold badge on
Mm.
your profile that said you were a top voice in whatever topic, top voice AI,
Yeah.
top voice in social media, and whatnot. And they just announced today that they're actually discontinuing that completely because, to your point, there was probably too much AI generated contributions.
Yeah.
And that badge was automatic simply
Mm.
based on the volume of contributions. There was no real check as to the quality of the content that you were creating. And I really appreciate your point about,
Mm.
how AI is helping us do things faster. I mean, I've told many people one of the things that they can use AI, I think, the best for is to have a conversation about their strategy and help them think
Mm.
through
Mm.
how they want to approach social
Mm.
media, how they should be talking to their customers, validate and vet that, of course. But
Yeah.
it's free consultant and strategist that you can tap to learn how to do anything to have that great conversation. So absolutely do that.
Mm.
Stefan, do you have any specific tools or platforms that you enjoy? Because let's go back to just this idea in general of disruptive
Mm.
social media strategies. Any particular tools or platforms that can help our social media audience with that idea?
Yeah, I mean, this is not going to be like a shocking new thing I'm going to talk about. I already talked about ChatGPT. This they call it 4.0, or yeah, the version that you actually pay for. It helps us a lot. It creates, I mean, also tools like if you don't want to spend too much money, Canva. It's a really useful tool for graphic design, to create those small video shorts that you can send out. Hotsuite, of course, for planning. And but there are like, I think it's like a jungle of tools that you can try out for free. But of course, you need to see what are we going to do with it? What can we use? I use, for example, Fireflies. It's a
Adobe,
tool that
yeah.
I can use in a lot of meetings. If I record a meeting or something, I can get the script, and I also get suggestions on what the next meeting should be about. It's a
Oh,
very,
yeah,
I think,
yeah.
it's intelligent AI in that way. So that's cool. But yeah, and of course Agora Pulse. But you can talk about that, isn't it?
Right. So, and then I'll just add a tip there. If you're working with a large language model like ChatGPT or Claude or
Mm,
Gemini,
mm,
and you're trying to come up with a social media strategy, one of the cool things that you can do with AI is keep asking it the same question over and over and over
mm,
again so that you get more and more on average responses. Like if you ask ChatGPT, what are 10 things
mm,
that I could post to our social media channels next month, and you already told ChatGPT who you are as a business and who you're trying
mm,
to serve,
mm,
it'll give you
mm,
10 ideas that, like I said before, they're the average. So you ask it for 10 more, and you ask it for 10 more, and you tell it, be creative, think outside the box. What else I can
mm,
do? What else can I do? And it'll give you some really, really interesting ideas. And the good part is, which I've said before, it won't get annoyed at you.
No,
Because if
that is
Stefan, you
fantastic.
asked me the same question 3 times, I'm going to start to get annoyed because I don't have patience for that.
Yeah,
AI will say, absolutely, Stefan, let me give you 10 more ideas. And it's
yeah.
fantastic for that kind of
Oh, yeah. Just let me
brainstorming.
know if you want to know something else. They say like that. That's really good.
Right. I'll give you 10 more.
I have a small example more, because it's kind of a
Mm.
different. I wanted to tell you. Is it okay to have a small
Yeah, please.
idea? One. Okay.
Yeah.
It is actually the church in Sweden, the Swedish church. They were during Halloween. It's, you are supposed to go to the graves to put candles, and to remember your loved ones, and everything. Yeah, with love and to care. Okay.
Hmm.
But what they did, they saw that the number of people actually visiting the graves was decreasing, because people move. They are not
Mm.
staying at the same places anymore. So what they did, they were actually inventing a digital, like you can put a candle for your loved ones digitally. And at the graves, at the graveyard, there was this tree where those LED candles lit up, because you could send it from somewhere else.
Hmm.
And that became like a channel. It was a platform for the lights, but what also was, there was this like priests and people who talked with people, and they started to chat regarding concern about love, about lost, and everything, like talking about life. So that there you can have the digital solution to create this connection between people. So that, I think, is a great example of how you can use something. And also, I mean, the message from the church was, of course, they want to bring people and make people feel safe, and so that's, I think it's a great example of how to use digital.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. It's a great story. We talked about something very similar in a previous episode with Potter's Resorts about how they used social media and Agorapulse in particular to continue to foster and grow their online community with local families in Southeast England during the pandemic when the resort had to be closed. So they had no physical open presence like all of us during the pandemic, but they were still able to keep that community thriving so that when things did loosen up, not only did they reopen, they opened a second location and they went all inclusive in the pandemic when so many other businesses were closing down. So it's a terrific story, folks. Go back and listen to that. We'll have that in the show notes below. But I'm wondering, one of the questions I think a lot of people have in mind is if they're thinking about these kinds of unconventional campaigns and approaches to social media, how do they measure success? How do they know that these campaigns are working? How do they know that it's having any kind of impact on the business?
I think first of all, kind of guerrilla marketing, if you're not like selling one product or something, it's a lot about brand engagement and how to be known for the brand, how to actually be recognized. So that is, and what you need then to measure and to is of course like how many people are using this, how many people are actually communicating through it, and how many people are actually then also, you need to add you know, this you need to add some kind of desire for an action of some kind. So you need I think the first thing you do when you do a guerrilla marketing campaign, you create a community. You create a group of people that want to be kind of an ambassador for what you're doing. So in the next moment, when you have this community, they are interested in what you're saying, you need to have kind of a strategy actually to start to talk to them and start co-creating the next step together with them, because then they can help you also, and then you can of course measure this as well. You can see the how they spreading your messages, and also try to create leads from them. So I mean, if you can combine your digital appearance with actually face-to-face or person-to-person meetings, that would be great, because then you can add different things. I think it's I think it's not that good to talk directly and only about the product nowadays, because there is like a buzz of everyone trying to sell things to you. So what they are looking for is actually a true connection. And if you can do this marketing campaigns in a way that you start to communicate, you get the community close to you, and then you can start to see what they want, and you can try to solve it. So it's a kind of lean management model for it. You actually ask them, what are your need, what are your value, what are your challenges? Can we help it? Can we help you with it?
That is terrific advice. If you're a hotel chain, rather than just talking about your rooms and the facilities, talk about the reasons that why people typically travel and stay at your location. Is it the beach? Is it for meetings? Is it for other attractions? You know, whatever the case might be, find that thing that you can connect with them about and get them excited and interested in engaging with that content. Fantastic advice, Stefan. You've been amazing. This has been such a great interview. For folks who want to learn more about you, follow you, connect with you, where can they go?
Oh, I want to invite them to LinkedIn, actually. It's the best to actually find me on LinkedIn and connect. It is the best way, because then we can start to talk about things. And we can share, and I'm interested in what people are doing. I mean, they got some ideas, and when we start to change ideas, we're going to find new solutions for a lot of things. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. That is the best. So Stefan Pettersson and Gameng at LinkedIn. That would be great.
Fantastic. Thank you, Stefan. Thank you, all of you, for listening. We'll have all those links in the show notes below. But don't forget to find the Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition on Apple and drop us a review. We'd love to know what you think. Until next time, take care. Thanks for tuning in to the Social Pulse Podcast Hospitality Edition, hosted by Mike Alton and powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution. Discover more at agorapulse.com. Enjoyed the episode? Please subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback drives our content.